Hello and welcome to the regular Eureka City Council meeting this January 21st. Nice to see everybody here. We're going to open this meeting with the land acknowledgement. The land that Eureka rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Jirojiji. Past actions by local, state, and federal governments removed the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threatened to destroy their cultural practices. The city of Eureka acknowledged the Wiyot community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates the city's commitment to dismantle ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. And with that, if we could get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Castellano. Here. Councilmember Moulton.
Here.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Here.
Councilmember Bauer.
Here.
Councilmember Contreras-Deloche.
Here.
Mayor Burgell.
Here. And would all who care to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And do we have a report out of closed session this evening?
Good evening, Mayor. We do not have a report out of closed session this evening.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to mayor's announcements. And we have a proclamation for National Mentoring Month, if you ladies would like to come forward. And we have Councilmember Moulton reading that proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. It would be my pleasure. Good evening. Welcome. City of Eureka Proclamation in recognition of National Mentoring Month, January 2025. Whereas this year, Big Brothers Big Sisters of the North Coast celebrates 56 years of service to the youth in Humboldt County, Big Brothers Big Sisters of the North Coast recognize that the future of Humboldt County rests on the success of its youth. And whereas a mentor is a caring, consistent presence who devotes time to help a young person develop personal strength and achieve their potential through a structured and trusting relationship. Quality mentoring encourages positive choices, promotes self-esteem, supports academic achievement, and introduces young people to new ideas. And whereas research shows that young people matched with a caring adult through a quality mentoring program are 55% more likely to be enrolled in college, 81% more likely to report participating regularly in extracurricular activities and sports, 78% more likely to volunteer, and twice as likely to say they held a leadership position than those who did not have a mentor. And whereas youth development experts agree that mentoring is critical to the social, emotional, and cognitive development of youth, helping them navigate the path to adulthood more successfully. And whereas our community has a number of community volunteers, teachers, and many others who support the mentoring movement and work selflessly to improve our children's odds for success. And now, therefore, I, Katie Moulton, on behalf of Mayor Kim Burgell and the Eureka City Council, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as National Mentoring Month, and thanks all of our local heroes who participate in quality mentoring programs to equip our youth with the tools to lead healthy and productive lives. We also call on residents to help close the gap between availability of mentors and the number of children facing challenging circumstances who would love to spend time with a big brother or big sister. It takes a little to be a big for National Mentoring Month.
Yep. Hello and good evening. I also want to acknowledge that we do have CASA with us today. They do a lot of mentoring with our youth and civic engagement for our volunteers as well. Also with me to my right is our new coordinator of events and our office, and that's Frankie Garcia. And we are so grateful to accept this proclamation today and to bring visibility and awareness to mentoring. It's essential for us that we remind each other that this is a call to action. It's a time for us to renew our commitment to our youth as practitioners and people that are advocates behind the scenes. And as I look at everyone today, I thank you for your service. I know so many of you and what you're doing behind the scenes, already doing so much mentoring at school sites, at our middle schools, and in creative arts and giving lessons and providing enrichment in so many facets of your lives. And for taking care of our parks and our recreation. So I am grateful for what Eureka City's leadership does to ensure that our kids have the best possible future. But it is a time, too, that we acknowledge that there's all types and forms of mentoring. And so we ask the public to get engaged. And we really ask, one, for people to think about spontaneous mentoring. Spontaneous mentoring is an opportunity for each of us to give visibility to our children throughout Eureka and Humboldt County abroad. Let's all make sure that we're looking at our young people and getting down to the eye to eye and making sure that we see them and acknowledge their needs and their wants. What Big Brothers Big Sisters is doing differently this year is that we're focusing on the positive experiences, or PACEs. We talk a lot about ACEs, but we rarely talk about how important those positive experiences are for our young people. And that's what we're committed to, providing many positive experiences for volunteers and our young. And not only that, it's the civic engagement that our volunteers get by having these formal opportunities to mentor through CASA, Boys and Girls, and Big Brothers Big Sisters. Youth truly benefit, and so does the fabric of our community. And it's important that we honor both formal and informal mentors. So I think a lot of athletic mentoring, how important it is to participate in sports and athletics, and how we provide those as a city, lots of opportunities for our young people. So I'm grateful for all the leadership that is here that invest in mentoring and takes the time at the beginning of the year to set aside this important moment to acknowledge the importance of mentoring in our community and how it can impact us through 2025.
Thank you, Florence. And we will be putting together a team, right, guys? I just called him out. Thank you.
We're agenda item. Will he have 3 minutes as well?
You can talk now if you'd like to. Frankie, welcome.
Yes. Hi there. Like previously mentioned, my name is Frankie Garcia. I am with Big Brothers Big Sisters as their new office and events coordinator this year. I did come out to talk about Bowl for Kids' Sake. This year is a mushroom theme. We are doing the Fungi Bowl. So you are able to come out to our website, ncbbbs.org, or you can also contact me. office@ncbbbs.org is my email. My phone number is 707-445-4871. Please call our office and I will be happy to talk to you about Bowl for Kids' Sake. I do have a flyer right here if you want to try to grab the QR code. I also will freely give out these at this meeting as well. Don't be a sport and come out and join some of our mushroom teams.
A sport.
Perfect.
Well, Eureka City Council will not come out as a sport. Well,
Perfect.
thanks for being here, Frankie.
Thank you.
And Florence, and all the work that you guys do. It's incredible. And now we'll move on to presentations. Home for the Holidays Lighting Contest Awards with Project Manager West.
Good evening, Council. One moment while we load the presentation. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Home for the Holidays contest from 2024. If you remember, in December, we talked about launching the contest. So for those who aren't familiar with the contest, it encourages community members to decorate the exteriors of their homes for the holidays. And then folks sign up to participate in the contest, and then we publish a map, and community members are able to go around and view all of the holiday lights and vote for their favorites. This year, voting was open from December 16th through January 2nd, and we had 3 awards to give out tonight. We have first place, second place. These are both the people's choices, and then we have the mayor's choice. For awards tonight, we will be presenting the awards. When I call out the award, if the awardee is here, I'm going to ask them to please come to the podium, and Mayor Bigel will be here to give you your award. And without further ado, we're going to launch right in. Okay, so for Mayor's Choice, this year we had 1511 D Street. He wasn't able to join us tonight, but Joseph Salyer wrote a little something that I'm going to read to you real quick. He said, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the City of Eureka for putting on this fun community building event and others throughout this year. It truly makes a difference, and it is evident that our city is becoming an even better place to live. I feel encouraged and more connected to our city. So thank you to 1511 D Street for decorating this year, and we'll be in connection with them to give them their award. Second place this year is 1204 N Street. This is a new contestant this year, Eric Ross Losnick. Unfortunately, he had a child's sports game tonight, so wasn't able to make it, but we wanted to say congratulations to him, and we'll be connecting with him after this to give him his award. And then first place is 2726 Peace Street. And honestly, these photos don't capture all there is to see at this location. This is an incredible display with even an interactive Santa. And our winner is Leon Chalmers. So if Leon can come on up.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh, well, oh, is it on? It's good. Well, I'm a Navy veteran, retired veteran. My wife is a business owner. And I think I've been doing Christmas lights for, I don't know, 17 years now. But at the location I'm at now, it's been a good ride. I live on a good spot, and my community and the people in my neighborhood, they're just amazing. So, excuse me. But anything I could do for the kids in the community is just amazing, and that's just what I do. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Leon. Sorry. Hey, Leon, is it true that you add one thing every day, right?
Yes, I'm an Advent house.
Advent house. Pretty cool.
Story on that is my wife used to say,
They can't.
just put it out there and get it up. And I'm like, no, I'm an Advent house, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm an Advent house.
Nice job.
So I just put something out every day, a couple hours, and it ends up growing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, that won't be recorded because you weren't at the mic, but we appreciate you. And now, moving on, we're going to have our inaugural annual report with Chief Citro. He's not looking at me. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Give you our Humboldt Bay Fires 2024 annual report. We do this every year. We've already done it for the JPA board. For the JPA board, and now we're going to do it for the City Council. This is a basic year in review. We'll go over some basic statistics and some of the things that we've done and accomplished, and some of the things we're working on into the next year. So, starting off with just basic calls for service. For the year in 2024, we had 7,578 calls for service. We broke those down into fires, ruptures and explosions, rescue and EMS, hazmat, service calls, good intent calls, false alarms, severe weather events, and also special incident types, which are a very small percentage of our incidents. The reason we have to break those calls down into classifications like that, we use the National Fire Incident Reporting System. It's a standardized system used by the entire fire service of the United States. All our data gets transferred quarterly into that system, and they track all the statistics nationwide. The other thing is this is important for us to receive federal funding and grant money, so we have to report to this system. And they break it down based on the types of calls I displayed to you, such as fires, rescue, EMS, hazardous conditions, which include fuel leaks, electrical issues, down power lines, service calls, which we basically break down into public service assistance, assisting other agencies, burn complaints, and cover assignments. And then good intent calls, which are we were canceled en route, somebody gave the wrong location, there's no call found when we got there, smoke mistaken for steam, controlled burning, other incidents like that where the public has every good intention to call the fire department, but it turns out by the time we get there, or it was never there or never happened. And also special types of calls. Fires specifically account for about 3 1/3% of our calls. We responded to 93 structure fires last year, 26 vehicle fires, 55 vegetation fires, 86 trash fires, and 17 other types of outside fires. The bulk of our incidents that we run, like almost any other fire service in the United States, are rescue and EMS calls. We break those down by motor vehicle accidents with injuries, which were 73, motor vehicle accidents without injuries, which are 93, in which we show up and nobody's injured, or we're requested to investigate and determine there are no injuries. 13 motor vehicle versus pedestrian incidents, 7 search for person in water, which is water rescues, mostly occur in the bay, and 10 vehicle extrications, in which the vehicle collisions are so bad that we have to utilize the jaws of life to extricate the people from their vehicles, and that's a total of 10 this year. And a big portion of those are EMS and medical aid calls, and they're broken down into 2 categories. Medical assist calls, assist EMS crew, our captains who write these incident reports for every call will code a medical assist, and we had 791 of those, and that basically means that we arrived there with, or the ambulance was before us. EMS calls, excluding vehicle accident with injury, 3,705. Those are all the medical calls that we responded to in which we arrived prior to the ambulance and rendered aid by our paramedics or EMTs. Response numbers by station. Obviously, Station 1 downtown is our busiest with about 2,168 calls. Station 2, which is a fire district station out on Herrick Avenue, 1,168 calls. Station 3 out on Henderson, 1,650 calls. Station 4 at Myrtle and West, 1,336 calls. And Station 5 out at Harris across from Road Acres, 1,276 calls. Again, total calls 7,578. We had an average response time of 6 minutes and 14 seconds, which is pretty good and meets the NFPA standard. And also the total calls of 7,578 averages out department-wide to about 21 calls for service in a 24-hour shift. So we're fairly busy. As far as by quarter goes, we like to look at this and see if there's any difference in the quarter or the time of the year in which our call volume is higher than others, and you can see it's relatively the same. It's pretty consistent throughout the year. A lot of other communities, sometimes their call numbers will go up in the summer and go down in the winter, or vice versa. But for us up here on the North Coast in the Humboldt Bay Fire, they're pretty standard. And this is just a look at the historical department response numbers over the last 7 years. As you can see, over the last 3 years, actually even 4 years, we're well above 7,000 calls. We're up 195 in 2024 from what we were in 2023. And if you notice that lag in 2020, that was during COVID. We actually saw a massive decrease in calls for service during COVID because people were staying in their homes and didn't want to go to the hospital or go outside. So that's normal. So let's talk a little about some of the challenges we faced this last year. We lost 3 of our captains to resignation in 2024. Since that time, 2 captains have been promoted, and a new captain's test is scheduled for March of this year. The 2 captains that were promoted exhausted the existing captains list that we had. By promoting these captains, they were engineers. Again, it's created some significant vacancies in our engineer ranks, which has led to some temporary station closures. Ever since 2022, when we lost all those employees, 17 in total, we're still recovering from that, losing firefighters, engineers, captains, and battalion chiefs. So we're still getting everybody trained back up in the ranks. Right now, we have 3 permanent positions vacant. 2 of those are due to the 2 resigning captains. We're going to be hiring 3 entry-level firefighter positions starting in February of this year. We're scheduling interviews for 2 weeks from now. And currently, we have a list of 14 qualified applicants for 3 positions. That is not great. It's not bad recently. But to give you some perspective, when I tested in 1998 and 1996 for the City of Eureka and Humboldt Fire District, respectively, there were over 500 to 600 applicants for those positions. Currently, we have an open recruitment for engineer, which has yielded no applicants. And again, our firefighter position is constantly open for recruitment. I have asked our training battalion chief and the training captains to prioritize personal development in our training programs in our department to get those people, our firefighters, trained up to the driver level. We've had several successful trainings prioritized with them, including complete days dedicated to firefighters to get their training up to speed on driving. And also, we're currently working with developing a partnership with College of the Redwoods and their Firefighter One Academy, which I am happy to say they are getting their site visit from the state of California at the end of February to become a state-certified Firefighter One training and testing center, which will be something we've never had in this area. So that'll be great for us. And we're supporting them with everything we can, including donating a used Type 1 fire engine for them to use for their fire academy. So the new members of our department this year, we have 2 new firefighters, Tyler Ford and Greg Cabral. They've been on shift for about 2 months now, and Greg, after being on shift for 2 months, went to the fires in Los Angeles for 10 days on our Type 3 engine. Just to let you know, they got back Saturday, all good and back. I was glad to have them back safely. And we hired a new battalion chief, Nate Baxley, who is not new to us. He was actually one of the captains that resigned this last year and came back as a battalion chief for us 6 months later. So that was really good to see. And of resignations and retirements we've had, of course, as you know, Fire Chief Sean Robertson retired in September, and the 2 captains that resigned, each having 15 years of service, were Hank Stoffers and David Terry. Some of the new accomplishments within the organization for our personnel, we have 1 new paramedic in Elijah Wagner. We have several new company officers who can act as captains. Those are Tyler DiMichelli and Adam Bumgarner. We have 1 new apparatus operator, Dolan Dillon, and we currently have 3 firefighters trained to become apparatus operators, which will help us fill those driver vacancies as we move forward. The 2 new captains we promoted were Mike Tyson and Tyler Gillespie. We have several new training captains, including Captain Matt Dennis, who's now in charge of our EMS training, and Chris Mitchell and Ben Miller, who are our shift training captains. We have 2 new bilingual firefighters, Elijah Wagner for Spanish and Brett Banducci for American Sign Language. This is an important part of the customer service that we provide. It's a really great program. We have 1 new USAR specialist in Dolan Dillon and another fire investigator in our community risk reduction specialist, Talia Flores. In April, we hold our annual awards dinner where we recognize 3 categories. The Firefighter of the Year last year was Jared Hugh. Jenna Harris, our business manager, got the Service Award. It seems like she gets the most votes every year for that. I don't know why. And then our Life Saving Award went to Engineer Adam Bumgarner and Captain Brett Banducci for the water rescue that occurred, I believe, is last March or April in the Bay, where we had somebody enter the Bay at the Wharfinger. She was being taken out by the tide, and by the time Engineer Bumgarner entered the water at the Wharfinger, she was already a mile going out with the tide. And Captain Banducci went in at the Del Norte dock, and they were able to converge on her and rescue her. And she is survived. So they got the life-saving award for that. Again, a new chapter for HBF. This year, our fire chief of 6 years, Sean Robertson, retired after 26 years of service. He was sad to see him leave, but apparently everybody's very confident in my ability because that's what it says on there. But Chief Robertson was with us for 6 years as the fire chief. He was hired by Eureka Fire Department in 1999. I've known Sean pretty much my entire career. And the fact to see him be able to retire and move on to the Fire Academy at College of Redwoods is a wonderful thing. And he had to lead us through some very difficult situations, including the COVID-19 pandemic and our staffing shortages. So we wish Sean the best, and I still probably communicate with him once every couple weeks, so it's good to see. The other thing we've done is we've initiated a cadet program. We did have a cadet program existing for several years, but we decided to make this more of a department priority. And the reason for that is so we can recruit local people who are interested in not only the fire service, but Humboldt Bay Fire specifically. We have 9 new recruited cadets for 2024. They participate in biweekly drills, do ride-alongs at all of our stations. They have to complete certain training and tasks. And my goal for them is once they are trained and their task books are all completed and they're ready, we will support them going through the Firefighter 1 Academy and or the EMT class at College of Redwoods. And that will give us our own internal hiring pool of local people so we don't have to go statewide to try and recruit firefighters to come up here. It's a really good program and it's taken off, so I'm really happy to see that. Just so you know, we do a lot of things in the community. One of my things I've stressed since I became the fire chief was being accessible and visible to our entire community. I think it's important for us in the fire service to do that. So we take part in all kinds of PR events, whether it's we had a field save of a young child and the crew came back and met the parents and the child. We do personal station tours, general station tours. We try to go to every Friday night market and all the events in the community and be accessible and visible to the community and let them engage with us. We try to go to all the schools in the community and do presentations. Also off duty, our personnel participate in all the community events that are going on. This is a picture of 3 of our employees at the Redwoods Marathon that they did. It's great. We attend the career fairs at College of Redwoods and Humboldt State and also get into the high schools. And when the schools have specific programs or events, we try to be at those and we're invited. The other big news is finally, after a long wait due to supply chain issues and other issues with the manufacturer, our new 2023 Pierce 100-foot tractor-drawn aerial tiller arrived, and it's been put into service, and it replaced a 1995 platform truck that has now been taken out of service. And then we also received a new Type 1 fire engine that replaced a 2006 engine, and that engine was the one that was donated to College of the Redwoods. This year, the Humboldt Bay Firefighters Local 652 did their annual toy drive, and it was a huge success. We had a large amount of donations, and it went really well, and it's something that the firefighters do every year, and it's become almost a tradition in the community, to the point where we still have people bringing us unwrapped toys up to into January, February, because they want to get a head start for next year, so it's really great. As far as training goes, a total training hours for our entire department is 9,173. That's a fair and a large amount of training that we've done, and it involves all aspects of what we do, not just firefighting, but our water rescue team, our urban search and rescue team, EMS training, everything. So all our firefighters are staying trained up and learning new techniques that are out there. And just a couple quick projects in progress. The remodel of Fire Station 3 out at 2905 Ocean Avenue started in November. These pictures were taken about 2 weeks ago. I was out there today, and everything is what the term is, I guess, framed in, and the windows are in, and the roof is on, and they're starting to work on the interior. And when I walked into there, I've worked here for 26 years, and when I walked in and saw the walls gone, it was kind of disorienting to me because I'm so used to it. So it'll be a nice change and a huge improvement for the firefighters that are working at that station. We're hoping the completion will be done sometime in April. And of course, we started our Junior Firefighter Explorer program, and that is just starting to take off, where we have high school aged individuals that are interested in the fire service. So we have an Explorer Junior Firefighter program for them, where they can observe and ride along and take part in some basic training to introduce them into the fire service. And then hopefully they will become cadets, and then they will become career firefighters is what we're hoping. Great. Any questions from the council?
Any questions from council? I have one question.
Absolutely.
So are you going to get your team together for Bowl for Kids' Sake then?
Yes, we will. We will be there.
Awesome.
So yes.
Are there any further questions? Councilmember Fernandez?
Yeah, I was curious. I think I may have misunderstood the number of vacancies because it looked like we only had 3.
We do have 3.
So only 3.
Only 3.
And that's out of how many?
We have 48 full-time positions.
Okay.
And we have 3 vacancies right now. But we also have what we call positional vacancies, where we don't have enough drivers right now. There's still firefighters that are training to drive.
Okay. And then you had touched on, or one of the slides had said that the training group had prioritized personnel development.
Yes.
Does that go back to the training slide that you had shown us,
Mhm.
or is there?
No, there's nothing more about that.
Okay.
When I took over as fire chief in September, the lack of drivers in our organization is what's really creating some of the staffing shortages that we have. So in talking to our battalion chief of training and our training captains, we are prioritizing getting those firefighters trained up to drive to fill those positional vacancies, because each engine company or truck company has to have at least one captain, one engineer, and one firefighter on it.
No, it's still impressive compliment of
Yes.
talent that we have there.
Yes.
I'm curious, how are we impacted? Not that we shouldn't, but when we have to send fire personnel down to areas like what's happening down in the Palisades in Santa Monica.
It's a huge impact, but it's something that we do, and we do it usually during the summertime. I will say January was an unusual time to get a call to go that far south. What will happen is we will send a crew of 3 down there, and the firefighters that are still here will work overtime or backfill their positions to keep stations open. And there's times when we can't do that, and we will have to uncover a station when they're gone. But I will say that the firefighters that we have with the 3 current vacancies we have and some of the positional issues we have been working hard to keep our stations open and running. So compliment to them.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'm impressed with where things have gone with our partnership with CR. I know that's something that former Chief Robertson was very passionate about.
Yes.
I'm enthused to see you moving forward with this, so I'm looking forward to your tenure.
Yeah, and also just to mention, not only donating an engine, they do use our training site, and also several of our employees are instructors and are helping to instruct these new firefighters too. So we're supporting it as much as we can, because their success is directly related to our success and vice versa. So it's great.
Thank you. Councilmember Contreras Deloach?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Councilmember Fernandez asked the questions I was going to ask, so I'm good. But thank you. And thank you for the
Councilmember
presentation.
Bauer?
Thanks, Chief, for
No
the
problem, Scott.
great presentation. I think just for the public's knowledge, when we have to close a station, what's the change in response time?
We did a study 4 or 5 years ago when we had to do that, and it increases our response time by about a minute in general to that station that's affected. We have 5 total stations, and they're fairly strategically located. So when we take one of the stations out of the rotation, it takes about a minute longer for whichever station is responding in its place to get there. It's not ideal. I don't like it. But given our staffing situation, it's something we're in, and it's something I'm committed to getting ourselves out of. And everybody in the entire organization has been working hard to achieve that goal. So,
I think none of us like that, but what's the national standard? I remember you said something about where we meet within the standard.
yeah, it's about 6 minutes is the standard for response times. And that's to all incidents. And remember too, you also have to take into account the geography of the entirety of the JPA. We also have the Humboldt Fire District, which is more rural, where response times generally are just longer out there because we have larger distances to travel, as where we're close within the city, our response times are a lot less. So that's a total average of the entire organization.
That's good to know. Yeah, thank you. One last question about the vegetation fires. Where are those pretty much occurring?
We get a lot of those around the greenbelt areas around the city. I actually ran the calls or the numbers. They're not in this presentation, but approximately 159 are what we call encampment fires or warming fires that are occurring in the greenbelts around the city of Eureka and also out in the Humboldt Fire District area. So they are a fair amount of the calls for vegetation fires we get. Fortunately, most of them are small and we're able to extinguish them very quickly. But it definitely is a risk to the community that we're familiar with and we respond to quickly and take care of.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Moulton.
Here we go. Hi. Thank you for that, Chief. Even better the second time I heard it. I don't have a question so much as a quick story I wanted to tell. Just talking about firefighter recruitment. I was in Winco the other day and I saw this guy. I saw a firefighter in uniform. He said hello. I said hello. And I thought, well, I saw one, so there's probably two more around here somewhere. And I kept running into them around the store. And then as I was waiting to check out, I noticed that there were two little kids stalking one of the firefighters, like following him around. They were going to, they're telling their dad, there's a firefighter in the store. And they were so excited to see firefighters in uniform. So just wanted to remind our firefighters and anybody who's thinking about becoming a firefighter that you're straight up superheroes. So I encourage you to get involved.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Kane.
Thank you. Anything further? Thanks for a great report. You went over 10 minutes, though. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing with you. It was the inaugural, so. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I just had a couple things because I realized that we haven't had a meeting in so long that I can't remember everything that went on. But I can tell you, at Christmas time, I did get to go out and ring the bell for the Salvation Army, which was really a lot of fun. I met a lot of people and just had a really great time, which is weird because when I was a kid, I hated it. I got to go to, oh my gosh, so Cape had their holiday party for our local youth here and where they get presents and this and that. And so that was really cool. I usually dress up as Mrs. Santa, and then I have a friend that dresses up as Santa, and we get to go and be with these kids. The cool thing is that these kids get presents, they get to do all these activities, and I got to hold a 7-day-old baby. It was so awesome. I was like totally stoked. I'm like, oh, do you really want it back? But yeah, so that was great. I got to hang out with the Old Town. I know I don't need another baby, but since mine moved out, anyway, that's too much information. I'm sorry. So I did do a ribbon cutting for the parking lot, and if you haven't heard of this place, it's over on A Street, and it's like a doggy daycare place for dogs, and she does grooming. Anyway, it's super cute. Lots of dogs, lots of fun, lots of friends. So that was great. And then the last thing I want to say is. One of the gifts of this job is that we get to make connections with people that are meaningful and important. And so a couple weekends ago, I got to go to a baby shower of a woman who used to live in Pelco Marsh. And she's now housed. She's working. Her husband, she's married now, her husband's working. Her kids are doing great in school. She has a better car than me, and she's having a baby. And I got to go and be a part of that. And I'm telling you, there's nothing quite like that. Being able to show up for somebody and be a small piece in the solution of their life. It's just such a gift. So I wanted to share that. And then we will move on to public comment period. This is the time for members of the public who wish to be heard on matters that do not appear on the agenda. City Council policy is to limit each speaker to 3 minutes. Such time allotment or portion thereof shall not be transferred to other speakers. The public will be allowed to speak concurrently with the calling of an agenda item following the staff presentation of that item. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on an item that does not appear on the agenda. Do we have anyone in the audience here for public comment? Welcome. It's nice to see you.
getting along a little better. Okay. January 21st. Okay, my name is Phyllis Coy. January 21st, 2025. I am proposing an ordinance for the city of Eureka. Any dog walker who does not have in their immediate possession a bag or bags with which to pick up dog feces shall be subject to a first-time fine of $25. A second violation shall be subject to a fine of $50. If there are 3 or more violations, each subsequent violation will be $150 or more. The funds from these violations could be kept in an interest-bearing account separate from other city funds. These funds are to be used for any expense incurred by any of the canine officers serving the city of Eureka, including the purchase of a new or replacement canine officer. A city in the Bay Area has a similar ordinance that seems to work for them. I have copies of this proposal for each of you. Respectfully, Phyllis Coy. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Phyllis. Welcome, Judy.
You know it's me. On January 17th, I learned the Hatcher Mobile Exchange van had discontinued parking by St. Vincent's and was now parking at 1522 3rd Street, currently an Open Door facility and the former site of Hatcher. I contacted you, Madam Mayor, who responded Open Door's board of directors had voted to let them do that, and as it was private property, there was nothing the city could do. You also called the matter unacceptable. I hope you've reviewed the ordinance, which I feel puts a lot of powder in your pouch. The definition of a syringe exchange program is one operating within the jurisdictional boundaries of the city that provides sterile syringes, collects used ones, acts as a point of access for health, etc. 94.53 of that says SEPs are not allowed to operate within 1,000 feet of a city park or elementary school, etc., except for mobile outreach workers. Mobile outreach workers are not program syringe exchange vans. If you go through history, and January 14th of 2021, a Time Standard article states that as noted in Hatcher's operational plans, the organization will provide mobile access to syringe services. No doubt what they're doing at that location on 3rd Street. March 3rd of 2021, Hatcher has continued to offer outreach services but is still working to fully comply with the operations plan approved by the Eureka City Council on January 19th. This article makes an important distinction of outreach without exchange. December 14th, 2020, Hatcher staff will park at city limits and offer syringe services via pickup per our authorization. We will also continue SEP services and outreach in Arcata, another distinction between SEP and outreach. Perhaps Katie Moulton noted it best. Mobile services would prevent the concentration of folks seeking and using drugs in a residential neighborhood, but the other position Hatcher distributes from is 600 feet away. And it comes back to the letter the city issued in 2020 not to renew. It is the city's stance that Hatcher lacks the judgment required to address the complex issues of operating a SEP and refuses to collaborate with both the city and neighboring community. I urge you to remember you have the right to make laws within your jurisdictional boundaries that do not conflict with California law. I urge you to remember having Hatcher participation is voluntary, as the county has in exchange. Since you're allowing this program voluntarily, you get to make rules about how, when, and where. If you want to cut it further, you get to decide if you want to continue to allow them to voluntarily be in your jurisdiction. I'm reminded of a Bay Area exchange that operates in 3 jurisdictions under 3 different sets of exchange rules. The collective you of the city make the rules about where and how Hatcher can operate. The list of Hatcher locations exchanging in the county is a full page with no set dates or times. In Eureka, it's 2 places now within 6 feet of each other, one of which is against your ordinance unless it's people with socks and snacks, not a bag with exchange supplies. I believe it's within the ordinance to tell them they can't exchange from that location.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Seeing no one, do you see anybody on Zoom?
I see no one on Zoom.
Okay. Then we will close the public comment period and bring it to consent calendar. All matters listed under this category are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. Pursuant to the City Council Resolution 2011-22, if a member of the public would like an item on the consent calendar pulled and discussed separately, the request shall be made to council member prior to the meeting. Unless a specific request is made by a council member, the consent calendar will not be read. There will be no separate discussion of these items. And my understanding is F through... You're fine? Okay. So I haven't heard of anything being pulled. Anyone? Okay, we can get a motion and a second on the consent calendar.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar in its entirety.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you. Legislative action correspondence. Not the season yet. Not yet. Okay. Ordinances and resolutions. Amending the lateral ordinance in the Eureka City Municipal Code -2024. Director Willer. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So on December 17th, 2024, staff introduced proposed revisions to the city's regulations related to sewer laterals. A public hearing was held at the time and the ordinance approved for adoption. Council voted in favor of moving forward with the adoption, at that time. And if adopted at this meeting, the ordinance would go into effect 30 days from this night, so February 21st. This ordinance is with respect to Chapter 50 of the Municipal Code related to sewers, and in specifics to the exceptions section of the sewer code. It adds a section that allows the city engineer to make exceptions for extenuating circumstances with relation to sewer laterals. That is all I have for you tonight. The recommendation is to waive reading and read by title only and adopt this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is a second reading.
Correct.
Yeah. Are there any questions for Director Willer? Councilmember Bauer.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a question. I think it's great, but what happens if people don't follow through? So you make an exception with a date. I think it says to a date certain, right? What happens if they come to a date certain and they haven't fulfilled their requirement?
Yeah, so part of the process they will need to, in order to receive an exception, they'll have to enter into an agreement that will set the date certain. So that agreement, basically, they'll be out of compliance. They'll be out of contract basically with that agreement, and I guess they'd be open for any legal action potentially.
Yeah, one of the important parts here is that this is a recordable instrument, essentially puts a cloud on their property and gives us an opportunity to enforce the agreement, gives the agreement some teeth, if you will. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything further? Seeing no one, is there anyone here from the audience that would like to comment on this item? Seeing no one in chambers, do you see anybody on Zoom?
I see no one on Zoom.
Seeing no one on Zoom, we'll bring it back to council for comments and a motion. Councilmember Castellano?
Sure. I move to waive reading and read by title only and adopt ordinance number 1041-CS, an ordinance of the City of Eureka amending Chapter 50 Sewers of the Eureka Municipal Code, Sewer Lateral Ordinance Revisions, Bill number 104-CS.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Great. That takes us to H2, amending speed limits in the Eureka Municipal Code with project manager Wardleboer. That's a tough one to say, friends. That's a tough one to say.
Excellent pronunciation.
Thank you.
I'll be presenting for project manager Wardleboer. So this is the second reading tonight. Again, back on December 17th, this ordinance was introduced And this in particular makes revisions to the city's regulations related to speed limits. At that time, a public hearing was held, and council voted in favor to move this resolution forward for adoption. If adopted at this meeting, the ordinance would go into effect 30 days from this date on February 21st. This ordinance is, from time to time, every 5 years, we do an evaluation, an engineering and traffic study of the speed limits in the city of Eureka. This helps us to make sure that radar is enforceable by our police department in the city. This year, we found that most streets were in conformance with regulations, and that there was an allowance to lower a number of sections of streets by 5 miles an hour. So that is that's the gist of it, and I'll turn it over to you for any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Fernandez?
Thank you. I know you touched on the fact that we conduct these surveys every 5 years. And so, because I still get asked, you're lowering it in this spot, why can't we lower it in my neighborhood? If you could just walk me through that one more time, please.
Yeah, it can be complicated to a certain degree, but in general, it's pretty straightforward. There's certain thresholds that you can raise or lower based on the 85th percentile speeds that we collect out there. The data that's collected, we look at the 85th percentile speed. That's what the Vehicle Code of California sets as this benchmark for us to be able to set to raise or lower speeds from. And so we gather that data, and then we look at how that looks across the boards with all our streets, and then there's our ability to evaluate and say, can we raise speeds or we can lower speeds. We found that because of the 85th percentile that we had 4 street sections that we could lower speeds. So that what made engineering sense in each one of those scenarios.
Thank you.
Questions? Councilmember Castellano?
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for all this work. Given the fact that, we can't just arbitrarily lower speeds, I know that there has been talk of, working with, neighborhoods to implement different kinds of solutions to help slow down traffic in their neighborhood. And, that isn't this particular item on the agenda, but is there, are there plans or options to work with folks in neighborhoods to kind of implement or maybe try some different ways of lowering traffic speeds or lowering traffic speed, but not the speeds of traffic?
Yeah, we have a neighborhood streets program. And the intent of that program is to allow neighborhoods to come together. And there's a process. It's all outlined on the city's website where they can basically get agreement within their community on their block to do improvements to. When I say improvements, we can work with them to install hardscape in their streets that would allow kind of restriction of the through traffic in front of their block, so to speak. There are definitely some things that go along with that make it not just every street applies for that. Emergency access always has to be maintained. In school zones, it doesn't work on our collectors, arterials, like our main streets. Those aren't appropriate places to try to slow down and reduce traffic. These are really geared towards residential neighborhoods. But the intent is you could, with getting agreement of a large portion of your neighbors, you could, the street in front of your house could be, have the intersection, at an intersection, you could have a barrier installed on one side so that you could really limit the amount of through traffic there. And it would really, I guess if you're getting at trying to slow people down, it would really restrict flow through those zones. But that's a process that's out there. We also have a few bicycle boulevards that are in the design phase or moving forward in the next couple of years that are going to have infrastructure installed that will slow traffic or discourage vehicle traffic from through traffic from going through, still allowing residential traffic or local traffic to get in there, but that would also allow for slower vehicle speeds where there's trying to encourage those bicycle users to use those corridors.
Thank you.
Seeing no more questions, we'll open this item up for public comment. Is there anyone from the public here to comment on this item? Excuse me. Seeing no one, do you see anyone on Zoom?
I see no one on Zoom.
We will close the public comment and bring it back to council for comments and a vote. Councilmember Moulton.
I would like to move that we waive reading, read by title only, and adopt ordinance number 809-CS, City of Eureka Municipal Codes, Schedule 1, Speed Limits, Chapter 74, Traffic Schedules by revising the speed limit on certain streets.
A second.
Please vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Great. Excuse me, this moves us to future agenda items. Councilmember Fernandez?
I know we had gotten some feedback on our special meeting that we had last week on the camping ordinances, and I think per Councilmember Castellano's notion at that meeting, I would like to form a work group to determine how to implement and support a permanent encampment moving forward.
So how many thumbs up do I have?
Is this just about putting the working group on the next
Yeah,
agenda?
on the agenda.
Possibility of a working group?
So I got
Okay, thank
one
you.
thumb, 2 thumbs. I got 2 thumbs.
Can I just clarify really quick what your, I missed that meeting and I watched it on video, but would you just clarify a little bit more what you mean?
Yeah, so to the best of my knowledge, and please speak up if you can, council member. Councilmember Castellano had suggested that there had been a working group in the past and potentially reforming one moving forward here because there did seem to be some support, at least from the council at the time and from the general public that was here about putting together a permanent encampment, not like what was done a few years prior where it was moved around. So something more permanent is the only way I can put it. Does that help? Okay.
So, and I just wanted to make a note of that. I remember at that particular meeting, Councilmember Bauer had suggested that this be a group with county, with all players, not just the city council. So that's something to keep in mind.
Is that what's intended?
Is that what your intention is, Mario?
Yeah.
I mean, Councilmember Fernandez?
It's okay. I can go with Councilmember Mario. I'm fine with that. But yes, that's the intention. It's not just us doing or carrying the lift. So.
Councilmember Castellano, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I may have misheard. There wasn't mention of a did you say the word permanent? Or
Encampment, yeah.
Yeah, that was not brought up at the last meeting, so I'd be more comfortable with a working group on encampments, or planning towards encampments. Permanent seems like I guess I
I would think we could work that out in the working group.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. So we have more information. We had 2 thumbs. Has anyone changed their mind? Okay. You can bring it up next month. Thank you, everybody. City manager reports. City manager Slattery.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I wanted to give an update on our Poet Laureate program. This program, 8 years ago maybe? I believe it's
2019.
6 years ago we had started this, and it ran for, I believe, 3 or 4 years. The last couple of years it's been dormant, and we're wanting to bring that back. The purpose of the Poet Laureate program is to serve as a creative ambassador for Eureka. People will celebrate the literary arts in Eureka and beyond, be creative voice for Eureka Cultural Arts District, collaborate with the broader arts community, and provide mentorship to our youth artists. There's 2 positions. There's an adult poet laureate and a youth poet laureate. The adult poet, this is really going to kill me, poet laureate, Responsibilities will include writing at least one poem reflecting life in Eureka. They'll have to read an original poem at 2 city council meetings, plan and implement at least one poetry-related project in the community. We'll meet with the Youth Poet Laureate or laureates at least twice to share poetry and experiences as a writer. They'll serve as an ambassador for at least 3 Eureka arts and cultural events each year and exchange with other poet laureates when possible. The adult poet laureates will receive a $1,000 stipend over a 2-year period. Public acknowledgement through press releases and mentions on the city website and social media and other social media platforms that the city runs. And then we'll have a nomination for the California Poet Laureate program. The Youth Poet Laureate will write one original poem reflecting life in Eureka, participate in poetry reading related to Eureka at least once each year, present one poem at a city council meeting, be an ambassador for poetry at Eureka events, meet with the adult poet laureate at least twice to share their experiences together, and exchange with other poet laureates in the when it's available for them. The Youth Poet Laureate will receive a $300 stipend over a 2-year period, and obviously the same public acknowledgments as the Adult Poet Laureate. If people are interested in this, applications will be due by February 28th. You can go to the Ink People's website to apply for the position. If you need support, you can contact the executive director for the Ink People at leslie@inkpeople.org, and they can answer any questions. The link will be live tonight at midnight, and so it'll be available for access for applications. So if the people have any questions, you can contact Leslie at the Ink People at leslie@inkpeople.org, or you can also contact Swan Osbury here at the city if there's any questions on that. So we want to announce that's going to be up and running again and be brought back in front of council again. So
Great. So quick question. Are you doing outreach? Are you doing outreach to the high schools?
So we can do that. We just put all the information together. It's going to go out in a press release, likely tomorrow, to announce this. And so we'll definitely do it as part of a press release, and then also on all of our social media and our website. It'll be put on there as well.
It would just be great to
But
send
somebody
it to
that was a
ACOE.
teacher at a local junior high could potentially help us out with that.
Well, but I'm just saying it might be nice to bring it forward to Eureka City Schools.
Yes, we will definitely bring it up in our
And
2x2 meeting,
Great.
which is coming up. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? No. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that moves us on to council reports, and we're going to start with Councilmember Contreras-Deloach.
Hi, so I don't have a lot to report because I've been sick forever. But I did get to, because I missed our last meeting, I did get to attend HBF's change of command ceremony with Chief Citro. So, and getting to officially bid farewell to Sean Robinson. So that was a little while ago, but I haven't been here. And then I got to do a tour of Restoration, which is who we contract with for our mental health services for police and fire. So they have built a place here for people to come. So I got to do a site tour of that, and it's beautiful and very serene and peaceful and nice, and a nice location. And then other than that, had a couple of phone meetings with Ashley Vellis talking about Fisherman's Terminal progress. Yeah, I said that right. Progress and some of the stuff around that, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Bauer?
Thank you, Mayor. I had a JPA meeting not too long ago. I got to attend Yahtzee night with the Rotarians. I got to say the dice just didn't work for me that night, but it was super fun and well-attended event. Great to hang out with all the Rotarians. I went to I'll bring this up because I went to a show, Black Flag, old punk band in Arcata, and it was packed. And I just wanted to bring it up because I realized we need a live music venue of that scale in Eureka. And the Muni's it, so I hope we can figure that out in the future because that was a really fun event. And we should be a destination for music, especially punk. And lastly, travel-wise, I will be going to Cal Cities to go to the Environmental Quality Committee meeting on Friday. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fernandez.
Black flag, you say, council member. Was Henry Rollins there? No. Yeah, so not the good one. But what? It's conducive to the comment. But I would like to second that for having gone out of town this weekend to go to a punk show in Oakland and then come back the same night. Yes, we should be looking at the Muni for servicing those kind of acts to come through. Absolutely. For me, we had our special meeting last week. I was able to attend a meeting with DHHS that I'd been wanting to discuss with them about sempervirens since we had our since we approved that letter of support back in November. And suffice to say, they're doing the best work that they can with the limitations that they have. It was interesting to learn that the reason that they're licensed for 16 beds is because once they move beyond that number of beds, the funding mechanism change and creates a lockout for any sort of extras that they would want to do. And then, of course, talking with them about the medical clearance that they have to go through, which is required and understandable to a point. It's not the best situation, but of course, we're hoping to have the Mad River Crisis Stabilization Center, it seems, online within 2026 at some point. So again, it's, there's a light. It's just, we've still got to get through this darkness. And then, we have League of Cities policy groups later this week.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Moulton.
Hello, thank you. I have no city-related travel to report, although I did travel back to my hometown of Houston, Texas with my 7-year-old, which is always an adventure. And returning always makes me grateful for how connected and engaged our community is. I say everything is bigger in Texas, and mostly it's just really spread out. Let's see. Looking forward to a Eureka City Schools 2x2, but I've been reading up on their work to accommodate and meet students, tribal students. They're doing some really innovative and great things over there to reach out. It's good to see. I met with a lawyer, an environmental lawyer from EPIC, to talk about offshore wind and address some concerns that I had. I attended the Vero Fiber ribbon cutting along with the Chamber of Commerce. Good to see some options. That's always good for consumers. Competition. I went to the Uplift open house over in my old home in the Muni. And what a lovely and inviting space they have over there as a navigation center for folks who are trying to get up on their feet. And if that's if you know somebody like that, send them over there. Beautiful mural outside too. I wanted to shout out to Kinfolk Beauty Supply, which is a brand new business in the Second Ward. Just welcome to the neighborhood. Love to see new small businesses opening up. I attended the Humboldt Bay Fire change of command, which was just a nice ceremony. The JPA board meeting, we heard that report that you just heard. I just wanted to highlight something that really sticks out to me. You get that big long list of calls that our firefighters are answering, all of these calls, just thousands and thousands of them. And then right next to it, the list of how many hundreds of hours of training. And you got to think they're doing those all at the same time. So when they're on shift, if they're not answering a call, they're training so that they can provide better customer service and emergency service to our community. I look forward to seeing Restoration. I got an appointment to talk with them. I hear they do really good work. Glad our crew has returned safely. One more thing. I spent Sunday afternoon in Highland Park, and I wanted to express gratitude to the Parks and Recreation, to all the folks who did work on that, to City Manager Slattery for being such a bulldog about making sure that those improvements happen. But the park was absolutely packed with families, and everybody that I talked to was so grateful that it has been just revitalized, and that this little jewel in our neighborhood is now beautiful and green and just a wonderful place to be, to take your kids, or just to go for a walk or play pickleball. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano.
Thank you. It's great to hear from everyone. I attended the Humboldt Bay Fire change of command ceremony. It was very touching and really sweet hearing Chief Citro's daughter introduce him at the ceremony. That was very memorable. Yesterday I went to the NAACP's Martin Luther King Jr. Ceremony, and there's just some really powerful speakers. Just want to acknowledge the leadership of Dr. Kente Johnson. He delivered a really moving speech there. I also will be traveling to Sacramento this week for the Cal Cities Housing, Community, and Economic Development Policy Committee, and I'm excited. I'm the vice chair of that committee this year, and so, involved with setting the agenda and things like that. And looking forward to great discourse there with council members from across the state. I attended the Humboldt Waste Management Authority meeting and since I think it's been a while since we've had a regular council meeting, the HCSD 2x2 meeting, and also met with some folks at Cal YIMBY just to hear a little bit about what they're thinking policy-wise for the coming year.
I'm exhausted. Thank you. And with that, thanks everybody for sticking around. We're adjourned.